So in this video I'd like to give some clarification on a term that sometimes causes confusion, and it is the term basolateral membrane of a cell. Now, when we have to decide on the different parts of the cell and how to name them, one mistake we should not make is to think of a cell like we think of things in nature. For instance, if I draw a tree here, let's just draw a tree. This is now a tree maybe in your garden or in the local park. Then it would be easy to say that this is the top of the tree and this is the bottom. This is a side, and on the other side we can also say this is a side. But you can see that with cells it is not that easy. For instance, here we have cells, epithelial cells lining the duodenum, so part of the gastrointestinal tract. And the question now is, maybe in the cells here, just looking at the picture from the way you are sitting, it may be easy to say that this is the top and this is the bottom. But the question is, where is the top and bottom of the cells here? And that is, you can see that that is not that obvious now. So we use different terminology to make these things a little bit easier. So let's take those words away, because we don't want to use top, bottom and sides in cells. And let's just quickly figure this out. So firstly, the inner part of the gastrointestinal tract is the lumen. And you can see that these cells have borders that face the lumen. So the brush border here with the microvilli, where absorption of nutrients take place in here and in here from the lumen. This part, so let's just say every cell, that part of the cell that faces the lumen, which will be the same for that part there, this one here, and this one here, that is what we will call the apical part of the cell. And that is true for all four of these examples. The sides of the cells are easier, the sides facing other cells. These will be the lateral parts, lateral. And then there is another side of the cell opposite to the apical side that is connected or in contact with the basement membrane. And that part of the cell we call the basal part of the cell. So let's just say this area here, and on the same on this side here, this will be the basal membrane of the cell. So this is different from basement membrane. The basement membrane is this red here. Okay, so now we have basal, we have lateral, which is this side of the cell, and we have apical. Now the problem is, where is the basolateral membrane then? If you look at textbooks or articles, you will find that they will sometimes say that a particular molecule, and I'm just going to use an example here, let's take an example from iron metabolism. There's a molecule called ferroportin. Now ferroportin, the article would tell you, sits on the basolateral part of the cell, and iron can then go through ferroportin into the bloodstream. But some books will draw it there, where I've drawn this one. Others will draw it here. Now, which are correct? Well, the answer is quite simple, both. Because if you put the basal and the lateral parts together, you get exactly what we've put up here, basolateral. So the basal and lateral parts of the cell together form the basolateral membrane. All right, and remember that this is this whole membrane is one continuous surface. Molecules can move around inside the membrane like rafts floating on an ocean. So the ferroportin that is here now may be found maybe over there in an hour, and an hour later it may be sitting over there. So these molecules can move around inside this membrane quite freely, except of course nearer the top here, because here in this area you have what we call tight junctions, where the cells are connected to each other. So the molecules that move around will not move over the tight junction, but they can move around everywhere else. There will be some more tight junctions here as we connect to the cell that should be there, and here again. So they are limited to this whole region, which is one continuous region called the basolateral membrane. I hope that clears it up.